The conversation around Nine Name is definitely at a weird spot, but it's also at an all-time high because he's being talked about for something, even if it's not in the best spotlight. And the eyes he attracted throughout this whole thing will eventually pull towards his music. And with him sitting at 600K monthly listeners, it kind of speaks for itself. It pretty much makes sense. And one thing I feel like his fan base seems to be very surprised and confused about is the fact that he is slowly branching away from Young Thug and YSL. And I called this out plenty of different times in my videos that this always been a thing. And with why and where this stemmed from, I think it's a mixture of everything. And I think it's okay to say that goes back to early this year. As soon as Nine started dissing Oway and even his own fellow ex-member 13 and Saint, that's when shit kind of sparked off and made certain situations a little weird. And besides the music, I feel like Thug's biggest goal was to rebrand YSL, new crew, new wave, new sounds. But how do you really do that when two of your artists are on and off? And even though that one that he signed is definitely on a rise and the music resembles you and Keith a little bit, but every time you look online, he's in the spotlight for negative reasons. In his mind, it's only right that he make a change. Because of course I can't speak for Thug, but I feel like from a business standpoint, whatever Nine did might have messed up connections, relationships, branch offs, opportunities for Thug. What do you really do when your artist is beefing with the whole scene? And most of these beefs don't really have a reason. It's just unnecessary, right? What do you really do when you was already invested? You was interested in guys like Oway, for example, right? This crew that's making a wave of their own in this underground niche, but for some reason your artist has a problem with them. And it then for sure was enough when guys started dissing Uzi, a guy that you're already close with, you already got a connection with, but now it kind of messed up because your artist wanted to troll. And Thug is already at a weird spot himself, so something was definitely bound to happen, especially with the whole situation with Uzi. Because after that, I started seeing a change throughout Nine music too, because no matter what way you put it, yeah, drops did slow down for him. At a point he was dropping almost every 2 months, EPs, archive pages, whatever you want to call it. And now you got fans that say, oh, he branched off, bro, he had tour, he working on this album, Emotions, that's next 2 weeks or whatever, he said this, he said that, but nothing is actually happening. Things have quieted down a little bit. He's also not dissing as much as he used to, but one thing he been doing a lot is dropping on Twitter. And throughout 2 of these Twitter drops, I also noticed that he dissed Thug a few times. I called him out and said OG a rat. Just told my label I need that money back. I need that money, I don't care. You hanging around somebody that's not respected anymore, shit like that. Kind of just calling them out throughout the song. And while he's doing that, it seems like Thug has moved on to Oway. He's making sure that he signed guys like Teases and Diamond. He's making sure that he turned things up a notch and getting involved with other artists. And I'm seeing people try to label this whole thing as, oh, Thug is trying to shelve Nine Vicious. He's trying to blackball him. Because from the outside in, as you look at it, that's what it kind of looked like. Especially when you got your own artists out there making it known that he don't like what you're doing. He's saying the industry fake. Somebody said YSL, he corrected it and said FN. It's almost like Thug is trying to get his payback and be a little petty. So when I made this video making it clear, yo, we only throwing these up, I'm only throwing up FN, Thug went to the stew with the same people that Nine do not like. At Complex, he said that Nine had a show, he couldn't show up. It turns out that day everybody checked, Nine didn't have a show, but you still had guys like Teases, Diamond, and Saint at the show. So there's a whole lot of going back and forth right now that you're seeing where guys are making certain moves to kind of piss each other off. One of those moves that happened recently on where things are heading, I feel like it definitely has something to do with the fact that Nine is repping a whole YVL thing now. You notice that? Because I seen him post a track where he stated that, yo, Carti said I'm stamped, trying to initiate the fact that Carti with him and that he tapped in, he got the cosign, I guess. So people kind of seen this whole thing and created this whole narrative where they're like, okay, Nine is moving on to YVL now. He's done with YSL. And you got fans out there that actually think this is gonna follow through or something like that. And I don't think that's the case at all. I actually feel the whole opposite. I really don't feel like he's moving on to YVL first of all, because he still is somewhat in this distro deal. Whatever deal he's in with YSL, for right now, he's definitely not going anywhere. Whether he like him or not, he got to do that time, drop a few albums, pay him off, whatever goes into that contract that he signed. He has to make sure there's an agreement. Then he could branch off and do his own thing. But a lot of people are not thinking that way right now. They honestly just feel like, oh, he's YVL now. They seen all these YVL Opium affiliates invested into him, but a lot of people don't know this has always been a thing. Nine is just not putting that shit out there. And it's always a reason for everything. And I feel like one of those reasons just might be to kind of piss off Thug. What's actually the point of saying this now and all these pages posting this when we already knew this? Your closest friend is Apollo Red. He's also YVL. She Loves Michi. He's been tapped in. Opium Baby has always been tapped in throughout the comments. You can see him in the likes. Even Carti's sister was playing the music recently. So I'm not surprised at all. But you seeing how this works, right? And after Nine made it clear that Carti had co-signed him a few days ago or last night if I'm not tripping, a lot of y'all woke up this morning, y'all seen on y'all timeline that Young Thug has unfollowed Nine Vicious. So I feel like there's tons of different ways you can label the situation. Oh, Thug is trying to get back at Nine. Nine is trying to get back at Thug. Oh, he's trying to blackball. He's trying to shelve Nine Vicious. Nine is trying to move on. But one thing I don't think that's stamped yet is the fact that Nine is trying to sign to YVL. What I do think that's happening is the fact that Nine is trying to socially climb. He's already gained a story and a lore behind YSL. That's his whole thing. And if you do the research, you already know that he's in some type of deal. There's something that's going on with YSL. He can't just scratch that shit up and just move on like nothing happened. You can say he's on tour. You can say he's working on Emotions. But I feel like things have gotten quiet for a specific reason. If there wasn't drama going on with him and YSL, I think y'all would have heard songs like Double D's that were going crazy on TikTok and shit like that. All those big Twitter drops, yeah, maybe it might be tough to get those sample clearances, but most of those drops without samples, they could be on all platforms. But you can't do that when you're so-called being shelved or somebody's blocking you from doing that, and you got a whole bunch of drama going on. If you want to say that he using everybody, I wouldn't be fucking surprised. But it definitely is a thing where people play into this shit to make it seem like they're YVL. That way they could get the numbers, the engagement. They just using whoever and whatever to climb the ranks. That's just business. That's how the music industry is. These dudes do that blatantly. They don't give a f. You just play your cards right to get to that spot that you want to get at. And it really just don't make sense that people are saying that 9 is trying to sign to YVL. They already looking at guys that he don't like. Look at Tenna, look at Dior, look at Peasy. Even though Teezus and Diamond, they already signed to Thug. They be around Carti and all them affiliates more than 9. 1300 Saint was at a show recently on stage with Carti, with Peasy. Dior also making moves right now to kind of make it known that he probably might just sign with YVL. I seen on his story that he just had a meeting with Interscope. You know what that mean, right? Every guy that's in Opium or YVL, they're signed to Interscope too. If you add everything up, that probably might be the next guy. Sometimes you see him at the shows with Carti, he on stage taking pictures with him. I wouldn't be surprised if Peasy do the same thing as Dior, have a meeting with Interscope and actually branch off soon to actually sign to YVL. They had 100K monthly listeners or below that. It make more sense for their situation. And if co-signing and being around the ops was a problem, right? Why you don't use the same energy for a guy like Carti then? Because you already did it for Thug. I seen people saying that 9 was using Apollo Red recently just to keep that connection, because Apollo Red was also hanging around the so-called ops of 9 Vicious not too long ago. He be around them all the time. And the same energy he kept for 13 and Saint, he didn't keep that with Apollo Red though. And it won't matter because Carti probably just fuck with the music. That's it. He probably looking at somebody else completely different to sign. You just never know. So I really think 9 is just playing into the whole friends and family thing. It's just like Tenna and BK. They fuck with the culture and the movement. They already got their major and distro deals, right? So they're not really signed on paper as YVL. They just real close and Carti's paying attention. That's all that's happening. There isn't much to it, but there are some people that take it up a notch because marketing managers use this as a promo tactic. Not the artist specifically, but maybe the marketing managers. And if you want to say that's socially climbing, I guess so. I seen guys say that Netspin was signed to YVL when he's already signed to a major, Interscope and Grade A. I seen somebody say that Blood was signed to YVL because he made a tweet. They said Tenna was signed to YVL. He's already signed with Galactic. He's been locked in with them for hellas. They said BK was signed. She's already signed with Warner Records. Why are we just assuming and making tweets and pushing these narratives? At this point, everybody's YVL. Yep, everybody's just signed, I guess. You know, according to Twitter. If you're around affiliates a lot, you make a tweet or something like that, yeah, you YVL, bro. Okay? But yeah, that's it for the video. Y'all feel like Thug has a valid reason? Is he trying to shelve 9 Vicious? Because no matter what way you put it, yeah, 9 is still gonna grow. He's still doing his thing. Every 2 months, he jump 100K monthly listeners. He might release on archive pages, whatever it may be. His fan base seems to be loving the music that he been dropping on Twitter and stuff like that. You notice how he keep dropping sample songs over and over again, especially from Rihanna. And every time they just blow up on TikTok because he rage baited the Rihanna fan. They're commenting, oh my God, I'm getting tired of it. It just creates conversation. He's on tour selling out venues. He still managed to make people talk and make conversations surrounding his name. And YVL is definitely one of those things that he's using. As long as he got Nextel around him, yeah, they know what they're doing for sure. But right now, when it comes to music, things are a little quiet for him. I think he's going to drag it out to next year to kind of make the big moves. Maybe he might get back cool with Thug. Maybe there might be an agreement or something. And I don't even think we should label this whole thing as blackballing or something like that. I think people are just moving on. We're in a process of seeing that happen. You're going to see some guys stay independent. You're going to see some guys branch off and do their own thing. Or some of these guys may actually sign to a major. Who knows? And everything that's happened has always been a thing. We're just now seeing things happen publicly. But you have people that are jumping the gun to assume that these guys are signed when all this is connections. Thug moved on to Oway. 9 just on this FN shit. Labels are being labels. And marketing managers are being marketing managers, and you're seeing Twitter pages take narratives and run with it and make it some breach. Maybe I'm just yapping. Make sure y'all follow my Twitch and my IG right now. I love y'all so much. Y'all stay blessed. Peace.